Well, welcome back, everybody. It's been a couple weeks since I have done a video, and it is so good to be back. And I have a 1952 Smith Corona Silent, and this one, yes, it's going to be an instructional video, but I'm happy to show it off to all of you enthusiasts out there. This is the darker brown, and it has the hunter green on it. I will say on this one, even though it's a silent, I found it to be pretty loud, and that's probably because on this particular one, the platen is hard. However, this typed really well. Sometimes you'll get them, and just because they're old and depending on how they were stored, the keys can get pretty stiff on you. Even after lots and lots of cleaning, they just, some of them just are kind of stiff, but this one flowed really well. I'm always a fan of a Smith Corona. If they've been well maintained and stored well, they're going to be a fantastic machine for you. And yes, you will probably still encounter some stiff or sticky keys on occasion. And so I always recommend keeping mineral spirits and like a little paint, one of those little craft paint brushes or a Q-tip on hand. Visit our playlist, typewriter tips, and under that you'll see one, how to loosen stiff or sticky keys. That'll show you how to handle that. But on this one, you don't have to worry about it. But since this one has a harder platen, I am going to load 2 sheets of paper on this one and for our demo today. But let's start. For those of you who are new, maybe you were gifted one, maybe your grandparent or parent found, dug it out of the attic and was like, here. So maybe you have one and you want to know how to use it. Let's walk through this together. And I'm going to assume that you know nothing. So we're going to start with the back. Oh, sorry, this is really close to the camera, but it is what it is. So the back area is where you're going to find, you know what, let me just put this back down. Sometimes it's actually right here. I was trying to show you how the back flips open. And let me see. So right here, this back panel flips. And in that, you're going to see this metal bar with grooves in it right here. And I call these keys, tab keys. I'm not sure what the official name is, but that's what I call them. And you should have 6. What does this one have? Yeah, this one's got 6. And so you put those tab stops. Oh no, I just dropped it in there. Well, luckily. There we go. Just give it a little shake and here it comes. We're off to a good start today, aren't we? So you just slide that into one of the grooves. You can put your tabs anywhere you want, and that's where your tab will stop. So I suppose they're called tab stops. I just call them tab keys because that's what they look like, a key. Okay. So that's tabs back there. And, if you have a similar model and your tabs aren't back there, tab sets, you can look down around here, or they'll just be exposed on the back. But for the silent, the 1952 silent, you have to actually pop this back panel open. And I am embarrassed to say that it took me over a year before, and I had one. Well, mine is electric, but same shape and everything. Took me a year to figure out that this thing popped open, and that is where I set my tabs. So embarrassed. Okay. But you got to learn. So you don't know what you don't know. Okay. When you first start out. Whew. Squirrel. All right. Here's your paper holder right here, y'all. And you can just put that back down. I do like using my paper holder. Sorry, I'm a little disjointed today. All right, so now we have margin sets, and you just press and drag. Okay, so your left margin, your right margin, we're used to having that set for us on our, computers and the software we use, but you got to manually set them, all right? This is called your carriage. The carriage is released by this handle or this one, either one. It's a little metal curved lever in the back of the carriage, and you just pull that in. Doesn't matter which one. Now keep in mind, what makes the typewriter go is there's a drawband with tension on this carriage. So when you release this carriage is going to pull to the left. It should. Now, if your carriage is loose, you know, it's just kind of flopping there, that means you have a broken drawband, and you need to find a professional repair person to fix that. Okay, so your bell is going to go off at the right margin. That bell is saying, hey, you're at the end of your margin. Time for you to hit your return handle, which is this right here, and go to the beginning of the line. So it takes you to the beginning, plus it advances you to the next line. And right here where it says 1, 2, 3, that is your line selector. So you can advance 1 line, 2 lines, 3 lines. And you might think, why would you want to do that? Well, if you are a writer and you want to edit, those spaces between the lines are fantastic for your notes and editing. Okay. Or that's just what you want to do. All right, let's put this back in the middle here. Over here on the right side, again, this is called your paper release. And when you load paper, which when your platen is hard like this one is, I'm going to load 2 pieces of paper together. And you just set them there. You don't have to shove it down or anything. Just set them there and turn the handle, and it should pull it right through. Now, if it doesn't, sometimes the edge of the paper might get stuck against something down there. Just roll it back out, roll it back in, and it should go through. But sometimes it just won't feed well, and that usually means that the feed rollers at the bottom of the platen are flat, and they need to be replaced. So again, you'll need to contact a repair person. We do have slowly have a typewriter repair directory on our website, and if you go to jot and tittle typewriters.com, and if I remember, I'll try to put a link here for you. You can find the typewriter repair directory, and it's by state. Now, it is not complete, so if you know of anybody or you are a repair person, send me an email, but be sure to put typewriter repair in the subject line. I literally get hundreds of emails a day, and I miss emails easily. So thank you for helping me with that. Okay. Squirrel again. All right, so I've got my paper loaded, and this paper release right here, if I had loaded it in like crooked, I could release the paper and fix my paper, get it all lined up, and then re-engage it. Or when you're done typing, you can pull that forward and then pull your paper out, okay? Over here on the left side, move my coffee out of the way. Right here, you're going to see a knob, a lever on the knob. It's not on the right side, only on the left. So with your typewriter, if you've got your typewriter in front of you, just pull that out. And what that does is that releases the roller. So when it's in, you'll hear the click. That's clicking every half of a line. But sometimes you're like, oh, I kind of want to go right in between there. And so for variable spacing, just pull that out, line up exactly where you want it, and then press it in. Okay, don't forget to press it back in, or else it'll just all be loosey-goosey, and that won't work well. Okay, so I'm going to move the carriage to the left, and then I'm going to pop this top cover open. And to do that, you just put your hand in the middle and pull up. And that is the case for most typewriters. But before you just go and start yanking covers up, just be sure there isn't like a release lever on some. That's mostly more for Royals. But I have early in our business, I had made the mistake of yanking covers open that weren't supposed to be yanked open. So I'm just giving you lessons from my own experience. Okay, if you want to know your serial number, it is right here. It is stamped on your metal frame of your typewriter. On this particular one, it's going to be on the left side, right next to your spool here. All right, and then you can go to typewriterdatabase.com and look up your year of manufacture. This is your tension selector. So that just determines how hard these type bars are going to strike your paper. And there's a couple ways that determines how hard your type bars strike your paper. One is the tension selector, but the main one is your fingers. Ta-da. So my husband has a very heavy hand. It's like bam, bam, bam. I find it annoying actually, but that's how he types. I have a very light hand, light touch. And so you want to take that into consideration. I find this not very helpful, but some people do. So adjust this to your liking, adjust your finger tension to your liking. Each typewriter has its own personality. So even if you have another 52 Smith Corona Silent, it is going to type differently than this one. So just keep that in mind. They really truly have their own personalities. And you have to learn to feel your typewriter with your fingers. And it'll take a while, but you will get to know your typewriter. You'll know exactly how it likes to be typed. And then you guys get into a great rhythm, and then you fall in love with your typewriter, and it's hunky-dory and fantastic. All right, down here, this is your ribbon reversal. Oh, I didn't even talk about the ribbon. Let's go back. Here's your ribbon. And we put new ribbons in all of our typewriters. Now, this one takes a universal typewriter ribbon, super easy to find. Obviously, we would really appreciate it if you buy them from us at jotandtittletypewriters.com, but they are available everywhere. And there are different colors of ink ribbons that you can get. Standard is black and red. Black is on top, red is on bottom. When you put a new one in, they just pop in and out, super duper easy. But when you do that, make sure, now this is really messy, so don't wear white when you are handling your ribbon. And I know it's dark and shadowy, so you can't see this. Darn it, neither can I. Okay. See, I missed it. Darn it. I got it twisted too. There we go. So there is a guide wire. And it's hard for you guys to see because my fingers are in the way, which is why it's really hard to show people how to thread ribbon. There's a guide wire here, and they have slits in them. And see how messy my fingers are. And then you've got your area right here. And I've taken a close-up photo of this. It's in that product listing. The link for that is in the description below. Go to that, save that image or bookmark it so that when you're ready to load your typewriter, you can your ribbon on your typewriter, you can kind of look at that. It's hard to see. Without taking out the ribbon, I can't tell you where the slits are to load the ribbon. Sometimes they're on the back and you have to pull the ribbon through, or they're underneath, or they're on top. But just take a look and make sure it kind of looks like this when you're done. Also, the ribbon goes up around the top, around the back, and underneath. Again, this one up around the top, back, underneath. Not this way. This way. Okay? I know this is getting long, but for those of you who really want to learn how to use your typewriter, you will appreciate all of this extra. And my fingers are swollen today. Yikes. Okay, that's the ribbon. Close that. When you close this, make sure it snaps down. So you can close it like this, but then when you hit the return handle, there's a really good chance this might scratch across your top. So when you close this, give it an extra push until it snaps. Ribbon reversal here, because when you get to the end of your spool, it's not the end of the ink on your ribbon. There's a lot of ink on there. You reverse the direction of the spool. And you can do that many, many times before you use up the ink. That ribbon should last you a long time. Now, some people, I always get people who comment, you don't have to manually reverse the direction of your ribbon. No, you don't have to. You just have to have the right ribbon spool for that, or ribbon. Your ribbon has to have a little grommet on it for it to activate the auto reversal. So if you have a ribbon with a grommet, it should reverse on its own. If you don't, you got to manually do it. Okay, over here is your color selector. There is red on the bottom, there's a white dot in the middle, and then there's a blue dot at top. Why they put blue, I have no idea. But that's supposed to be your black ribbon. Make sure your color selector is firmly set on the black or the red. That white is a stencil setting. You will not use it. And if it's on that setting, your typewriter will not type. It'll look like it's typing, but it's not typing. So there's two things to look for when it's time to reverse the direction of your ribbon. So if you're typing away, all of a sudden you notice like it's typing half black, half red, or it's the ribbon's getting real tight, or your font is getting really faint, or you feel a lot of tension when you're typing, stop, look at your ribbon, reverse the direction of your ribbon. That's probably what's going on. The other thing is if it's not typing right, like if you're typing and it's not imprinting, check. This happens pretty often. Check your color selector because this gets bumped. And if it's in the middle or if it's not all the way on the color, it's not going to type properly. So just check your color selector. That's a free tip for you today. All right, here's your keys down here. So obviously without the shift, you've got lowercase, shift, uppercase. Up here, no shift is numbers, shift is symbols. This arrow is backspace. This is tab, and I already showed you the tab keys. And then the margin release. So when you're typing, you will, so okay, now I'm at my margin. It's not gonna let me type anymore. And so I gotta hit MR for margin release. Get to the end of the line. And so that's what margin release is for. Now, if you're hitting margin release at every single line, then your margin is set in the wrong place, or you need to learn to use your margins. So when that bell goes off, you should hit your return handle. And like I said, if you're hitting the margin release on every line, you need to make some adjustments because that's really just like if you're caught in the middle of a word, then you can finish your word. Okay, so that, my friend, is this 1952 Smith Corona Silent. I hope you found this helpful, mildly entertaining, hopefully not irritating. Would you give me a thumbs up? Would you subscribe? Comment below. I know I only get around to reading comments about once a month, but I do get around to them. Thanks so much for all that you guys do. I love that you're here. You guys are like the best fans. I get great comments. I get letters. I get emails. You guys are just fantastic. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, happy typing.